Finally, this is well, actually, no, the Board of Finance meeting is on schedule. The budget meeting that we're finally going to get together and discuss. So this is the regular Woodbridge Board of Finance meeting, and it will be completed, and then we'll begin a discussion of the 2018-2019 town budget. Before we get started, I just think it's we're the guys that provide the money. It's incumbent upon us to discuss the phenomenal job that our town agencies have done with this horrendous weather we've been experiencing, namely, of course, the police department, the fire department, and the public works department. We've had a rough run, and I can especially appreciate the fire department because they've been running all over the place, blocking off roads where trees were down. I went through it myself over on Rimmon Road, and as I was there, I saw a fire truck going this way and a fire truck going that way, and firemen blocking the road here, and so it's been a terrific job by our emergency personnel, and I think we should all show our appreciation for just a great job. And we got through it, and our roads are open. Believe me, I drive through all different towns, and Woodbridge does a phenomenal job. So our sincere thanks to them all. Okay, public comments. Jeff? Hey, Andy.
Do I need to push?
I don't know, is it lit up?
No.
Yeah.
Good evening. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jeff Livey, and I'm a lieutenant with our police department. My position was the one proposed to be eliminated by the Board of Police Commissioners. I am in my 30th year of dedicated and loyal service to the town, department, and its residents. During my tenure, I have risen through the ranks, having served as patrolman, detective, sergeant, and for the past 16 years as the lieutenant and third in command of the police department. I am the only member in the history of the police department to hold each and every one of those positions. In addition, I've been promoted by the department on 2 separate occasions and have served as an undercover officer with the Connecticut State Police, Statewide Narcotics Task Force, and the Valley Street Crime Unit. I've always promoted the police department as a positive place to work, and have always tried to do the right thing and never embarrass the department. I have an impeccable and unblemished record with the police department, and have never been suspended or disciplined in 30 years of law enforcement. Trust me, this is not an easy thing to accomplish. One of the things I'm most proud of is that you have never read my name in the newspaper or heard my name on the news in a negative manner. With this in mind, so to say, it was shocking when on January 29th, the Board of Police Commissioners voted to eliminate my position would be an understatement. As the Board of Police Commissioners has been told, the position is vital, critical, and necessary position that has been in place since the creation of the police department. I'm not quite sure it's understood and known what the lieutenant's duties and responsibilities are, including but not limited to being responsible for the entire patrol division, the training of the entire department, scheduling of the entire department, and investigations. The lieutenant is on call 24/7, 365 days a year, and is the first contact on any issue warranting administrative attention outside of work hours. The lieutenant's position is more than a full-time position, and all these duties would have to be reassigned, which certainly would create a whole host of issues with that. The action taken by the Board of Police Commissioners was contrary to the recommendation of the Chief of Police, contrary to previous independent studies conducted regarding the rank structure of the police department, and quite honestly, to what is working and necessary. It is my understanding that part of the lieutenant's salary would go into the officer's salary, and on top of that, the department is adding a 25th officer to our current strength of 24 officers. We are becoming a young department, and there is absolutely no substitute when you have a seasoned supervisor evaluating a scene or the best way to handle a situation or investigation. as I previously mentioned, I'm not quite sure everyone understands what is truly happening, because one of our liaisons asked me right after my position was eliminated, how many lieutenants do you have? And I told him one. He said, they're eliminating your position? I said, yes. He said, so what happens to you? You go somewhere else? And I think I said it wasn't really a good time to talk about it right now, but I really wanted to say they're eliminating my position and I will no longer have a job. Like many of you, I have a family and I'm getting ready to send my children to college. I have to say this really shocks the conscience, and a lot of people are scratching their heads as this is not what's best for the police department. On a side note, I think it would be very hard in the future to attract quality individuals to management positions at the police department after seeing what has taken place here. I remember back to 16 years ago when I was interviewing for the lieutenant's position and was asked by a Board of Police Commissioner member if I was worried about leaving the protection of the union, and without hesitation I said no, because I'm a firm believer that if you work hard and you try to do the right things, there really isn't anything to worry about. Nothing bad will happen. I believe that Board of Police Commissioner member said to me, great answer. Finally, I please ask you to trust and support your leaders and experts of the Woodbridge Police Department. This is the chief, deputy chief, and I who have over 100 years of police experience and management. I really thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, item 2. Tony.
Our monthly report through February of 2018 shows a budgetary surplus of about $143,000. This leaves a fund balance of $5.2 million, or 10.7% of our annual expenditures for the end of the year. Some of our revenue highlights include our interest income, which is projected to generate a surplus of $100,000 this year, primarily due to higher than anticipated interest rates. Intergovernmental revenues, as we all discussed, is where we have the biggest reduction. That's a $300,000 reduction, primarily due to elimination of the revenue sharing grant, elderly tax reimbursement grant, and a reduction of our education cost sharing grant. Those are the three largest adjustments. The charge for services also is projected to experience a shortfall of about $50,000. This is primarily in the town clerk and recreation fees. There's a possibility that those may come back in the next few months. This is a projection at this point. In our other revenues, we have $561,000 in surplus funds from the Amity District operations. So it's important to note in your budget process as we go through that every year when we get surplus funds, we allocate those towards the next year's budget. And so in this particular scenario, for this year's budget, we have $220,000. And so if you don't want to have a revenue shortfall in that, you have to allocate $220,000 in next year's budget. So that leaves a balance of $340,000 as unbudgeted revenue. Okay. Yep. In expenditures, the Woodbridge Board of Education has a projected deficit of $167,000. That's up from $136,000 from the month before. Public Works, when I had done this report, this was through the end of February, there was a $10,000 deficit in overtime. That's primarily related to storm events, and currently about $35,000. So that doesn't include the event this week and what possibly may happen next week. So at this point, we'll wait until April to see how the rest of the year goes. But it should, unless we have a lot more events, it'd probably be close to say $40,000 or $45,000 deficit. So most of that will have to come from contingency. Currently have a balance of about 180, I think 185. So just keep an eye out on that. Waste Management has a surplus of about $20,000. And finally, the Amity District is reducing its current year allocation by about $178,000. This is due to the special education issue we've discussed in the past.
So the 340,000 from Amity that you're recognizing in the current year,
Right.
is that in here?
That's part of that number, correct. So if you were to use that for something, let's say you wanted to create a reserve or something, then the budgetary surplus, we'll go from a budgetary surplus of 143 to a budgetary deficit of 200.
Right.
That's your question, right?
So it's in, what is it in, other revenues?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
So if we didn't get that from Amity, we'd be in a deficit?
that's correct. So it's an extraordinary item, I would admit, although I think so is the $300,000 reduction in state aid after we create the budget.
Yeah.
Usually not quite that
Mhm.
drastic,
Mhm.
but that's correct. If we didn't have that Amity money, we'd be in a deficit.
Okay. Any other questions for Tony?
Will the 178,000 be recognized this year?
Yeah, so that'll be a surplus in expenditures this year, and I was planning on one item. One thing you can do with that money is to transfer it from one to the other, cover the other deficit in the Board of Education.
Or transfer from Amity to Beecher?
Yeah. That was what I was sort of planning on.
So we have about 180 left in contingency?
Approximately, yeah.
Okay. What do we,
So there's two.
unfortunately, there's no report. What did we start with? I don't have.
200,000.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
what I figured.
So the
So we've been frugal.
yeah, and really the only issues that we have that could possibly impact contingency is overtime for the
Yeah,
snow
the,
in the fire department.
the best example of contingency.
Yeah, yeah. In the fire department, and they've had a lot of calls, as you indicated.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know they're probably going to need some assistance.
Yeah, well, we kind of said that.
Yeah, and
They
they
were
know that.
anticipating repairs, and we didn't
Right.
give it to them, but we said it,
Correct.
Let's
And they
see
know
what-
that, so they're doing the best.
like I said, as the year unfolds, if there's a surplus in another department, at the end of the year, you can transfer
Correct.
it anywhere you want.
Correct. Right.
Sandy, you're going to talk about Beecher? Okay. Anything else, Tom?
No, that's it.
Funding requests, none at this time.
There are none.
I like that.
We tried.
All right, we have 4 sets of minutes to approve. The first is a joint Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen meeting on January 23rd, where we met with some of the departments. This is one of our budget meetings. And I will move acceptance of the minutes of the January 23rd joint meeting as presented.
Second?
Any corrections, adjustments? Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Next, we have another joint meeting on Thursday, January 25th, with the Board of Selectmen, and I will move acceptance. That's the meeting where we met with Scott Bassett. I'll move acceptance of the minutes of the January 25th meeting as presented. Any corrections, adjustments of these? None. All those in favor? Aye. And our final meeting, January 30th, again, a joint budget meeting, and I'll move acceptance of the minutes of the January 30th meeting as presented. Any discussion or corrections? All those in favor? Aye. And finally, our regular monthly meeting in February. I will move acceptance of the minutes of the Thursday, February 15th meeting as presented.
Second.
Any discussion on these? No, good. All those in favor? Aye. Terrific. Moving right along. Beth,
Good evening. We had a regular selectmen meeting last evening. I'll just give you a few highlights very quickly. We also thanked all of the volunteers in the fire department as well as the police department and public works. Everyone worked very, very well together. I guess at one of the storms, the fire department alone had over 100 calls. They just couldn't keep up with it. They were just so busy. As you said, everybody was, but they worked well. Public works, they had a whole team of clearing the roads and making sure the main roads were passable. It was a phenomenal job. And hopefully that's it. Hopefully we're done with storms. I'd like to wish that, please. On the other side of that, I did receive a lot of calls from residents who were less than happy about certain things. So we're trying to schedule a meeting in the next couple of weeks with our representatives from UI to just go over how we could do it a little bit better. In a sense, our departments did very well in town. It was just there was some concerns about when everyone's electricity was going to come on. So we'll just give them our concerns and hope for the best. I believe the microgrid project is complete. We're having a little bit of trouble scheduling a date to do the...
It's operational.
Yeah, the UI president, I guess, is not available on the date that was originally scheduled. So I was going to tell you tonight when it was, but now I'm not gonna. So stay tuned. We've got a bunch of hold dates. I just don't know when. But it's going to be a wonderful thing, and I hope you'll all try to come. Our public opinion survey is all back. We got over 850 responses, so that's over 26%, which our statistician said was a real good amount for a survey like this. So we'll be dealing with that in the month of April, and stay tuned. We're going to have a special budget discussion, what we would call a budget development discussion. Several members of the Board of Selectmen would like to do that earlier than in the summer, so we're going to start that in May. And other than that, just a little fun thing. We're doing Town Rid Litter Day on April 22nd, and the Board of Selectmen is doing a team. So maybe the Board of Finance either wants to join our team or go against our team. But we'll get more information on that. And last night, the only other thing you should know, not financial at this point, but we did, as a group, vote to vote for the establishment of a dog park. Where in Woodbridge is another thing, but we did agree as a Board of Selectmen to have a dog park, and it was unanimous. So that's highlights from our meeting last night. Any questions on anything? Okay, thank you.
Liaison reports. Amity met Monday night, and unfortunately, with all that was going on with the weather, I couldn't make it, but I did talk to a few people, and they did. Well, the Amity Finance Committee approved the Amity budget, which I think I sent everything to you that we basically, and I don't think it's reflected yet, but there's about $100,000 reduction due to a more favorable medical insurance number, which puts Amity actually in negative. We're going to be giving them less, aside from all this money they give us back. So, but one thing that I was told did come up, they've got this surplus, and it's like, of course, now they're trying to figure out how to spend it. As I told you, they want to carry forward 1% of their budget, which is about $422,000, and put it into a capital and non-recurring, which they have the right to do, but they have to do it with the objections of probably me and the other two, the fellow from Bethany and from Orange. But at the meeting the other night, one of the members decided that he thinks they should take a chunk of that money and have an SRO installed at the two middle schools. Now, that's an interesting concept because I don't know that Orange has a police officer available, and Bethany hasn't got a police department, so they obviously don't have it. And I can guarantee you, you're not going to get the state police to give up a man. So it'll be an interesting. It didn't pass, but it's not going to go away. Obviously, there were a few people who were in support of it. It's virtually impossible to get one in Bethany because, again, they don't have a police department. And in Orange, I don't know, maybe they would, but again, it's a lot of money, and we'll see where that goes. But it did get voted down at that point, but it probably isn't going away. And that's pretty much all I heard happened at the meeting, so more to come. Paul?
We weren't able to meet on Tuesday.
How come?
Because of the nor'easter. Can you do something about this?
Okay. Andy, do you have anything?
Yeah, Rec Commission met a couple of weeks ago. They're sort of in between seasons. The winter programs have ended. The spring programs they're starting up or about to start up. But one thing is Bob Hill announced that he's going to change his capacity on the Rec Commission. So he got a new job and not quite as flexible as his prior job. He's still going to remain on the commission, but he doesn't think he can maintain his leadership role. So we need to kind of figure that out and who's going to step up.
Okay.
That's about it.
Anything, Susan?
Just very quickly, I also was not able to make my meetings. However, I did take a look at the minutes from the Library Commission, and I just think we should, you should all be aware the third boiler that has been sort of a topic is still out of service evidently. And I guess they're looking at the summer.
Yeah, it's
Something
actually the
about it,
budget,
so-
capital budget.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Okay. The Woodridge Board of Ed Finance Committee meeting met on Thursday, March 15th. No, that's us today. Sorry. It actually was on Monday, March 12th. And in terms of reviewing the financials, as you are aware, the deficit has risen to another $31,000. And $17,000 of this is due to special education costs, $13,000 related to kind of redistributing the cost for the Ezra bus, and the fact that there is another TA that is now a paraprofessional on the bus related to some of the students. So again, these are kind of out of the board's control and just expenses that need to be covered. I like your suggestion, Tony, of being able to take some of the Amity surplus and be able to cover future deficit. All of the known expenses for the building issues have been encumbered in the current financial statements. We did also review the budgets for extended day, the summer enrichment program, and the lunch program. And those all seem quite reasonable. The board did approve a 6% increase in terms of the charges to attend those programs. It's been 8 years since there's been any increase in those whatsoever. So I think that, again, the board is trying very hard to look for sources of revenue and is really monitoring very closely what their expenses are.
Was there any discussion about this? Beth, of course, formed the committee to look into and I guess there's a couple of repairs that have to be made, one to the dehumidification unit in the pool and one to I guess there was no hot water in a section of the school, and there's a valve they have to, have those figures, have those been
We
recognized?
didn't talk about the specifics, but we have our superintendent and finance director here if you would like to ask
Yeah,
a
absolutely,
question.
they can answer it. I understand that the dehumidification is a number.
That's the Dectron unit
Yeah.
that is being remedied by one of our vendors at no cost, the vendor that actually installed it. So that is being addressed actually tomorrow. It's tomorrow. Yes. So that's being remedied that way. In terms of the hot water, yes, we have a repair that is going to be scheduled for April vacation for the north part of the building. And we're just trying to, at this point, we're trying to verify that the south part of the hot water is working the way it was intended to work. So that's the latest news at this point of that.
Anything else? No?
I think on that issue, if I might,
Yeah, sure.
I think we asked them to come back, Jeff Kaufman's committee, on April 11th, I think is the date they're due back with a report. They may extend it.
To your board?
Yeah,
you or
to
to your
our,
board of
yeah, so we'll keep you in the loop on that. We'll share whatever we get, or tune into TV, because it'll be live. So that's the next meeting,
Okay.
our next selectmen meeting. So they may not make it if they're, still looking, but that was the original date we asked them.
So, that brings us to, in very quick time, I might add, a review and act on the Board of Finance FY19 budget recommendations. For those who don't know, what basically happens tonight is we hopefully can put together what we plan to present at the preliminary budget hearing on April 21st. 23rd? Okay, 23rd.
He's going to be there on the 21st. The rest of us will be there.
That's a Saturday.
Like, I come every night just in case. But, so we're gonna go, what we're gonna do is we in the past, for those of you who are new, we go through each department and determine if we're gonna accept that department's request, or actually what the Board of Selectmen have recommended, or if we want to lower it or raise it back to what the request was. That's all we can do is, for example, if the Board of Selectmen reduce a budget by X number of dollars, we can put it back. That's all we can do, which doesn't happen very often. So at this point, with the figures, and this is without the Amity change, so the first thing you're going to do, Tony, is give, but at this point, if we accepted the Board of Selectmen recommendations, we have a mill rate of 40.37, which the number 40 makes me very nervous. It's just not a good mill rate. So, needless to say, I've got a lot of ideas. Some will be popular, maybe. Some won't be so popular, but that's what we're here for. We're going to throw them out there, and we're going to talk about it. And I have stated, and I've shared this with Tony, that I'd love to get this under 1%. It's currently 2.36%. What would it take to get it under?
You need 620.
All right, 600 plus.
So I could,
But that's, of course, Amity now is a part of that.
correct,
So,
yeah. So I can start by suggesting 2 revenue adjustments.
okay,
Should we start there?
sure.
So last night, the Board of Selectmen approved an increase in building permit fees.
Yes.
So we anticipate that'll generate additional $30,000 in building permit fees.
Okay,
So that's number one.
okay.
And I think it's, we've been far enough in the year here to safely assume that our interest income will be higher now that it's continued. I mean, it's a risk
Mhm.
you would take,
Mhm.
but I think it's a safe one. So I would suggest $50,000 in addition
Okay,
to our interest income.
okay.
Those are the 2 I would suggest for revenue.
So that's 80
$80,000
on top of the Amity adjustment. Tony, unfortunately, I sent it to you, but I didn't keep a copy, so I don't remember
The
exactly.
Amity adjustment is, got it right here. I had a feeling you'd ask me.
Yeah.
97,417.
97,417, okay. So, all right. Now, there might be some more coming from Amity.
Oh, okay.
I told you they probably are going to refinance their bonds, so there's going to be not a lot of money, but I'm also somewhat confident that there might be other things that they're. Thank God for Orange. Orange makes sure we keep them on their toes. Like I said, I do my own thing, but I also sit back and let Orange take the lead. So, all right, so we've got 50,000 interest income, 30,000 building permit revenue, and Amity 97,417.
Right.
Okay. So with that in mind, and again, I've got a list of things that I'm going to suggest, and it's entirely. Obviously, I'm going to make a motion, we're going to vote on it, and either we do or we don't. But I'd love to get this down. I just don't think, I don't think we can just continually throw 2% tax increases at people. We've got to, at some point, put the brakes on it. And,
So Matt, can we discuss all the ideas before we actually vote?
yeah, all what I did.
No, you
All
said
my
you have
ideas?
multiple.
Well, I was
ideas.
gonna hit on them as we. I could give you some ideas. Some of the areas that I would look at in capital. And again, we're gonna go through these one by one.
Okay,
Go
you
through
can go
capital.
through it in any way that
Okay.
makes sense to you.
All right.
All I'm asking is that we don't make any decisions until
Oh, yeah, no.
we've heard everything,
Okay.
and then can go back and weigh
Okay.
them.
Okay. How
You
we
want
gonna
to go
do?
through the capital?
Want to go through capital first?
Yeah.
All right. All right. So capital is one of the last areas, and I'll kind of pick off the ones that I've looked at. I have a feeling you know have a good idea. Some of them are. Okay. Is the first one animal control? Am I on the right page here?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not, well, the Board of Selectmen cut that. It's a vehicle replacement. They cut it from 40 to 26. I think they need the vehicle, if I remember correctly.
They do.
Revaluation reserve, that was cut also and spread into a second year. Board of Education, they removed asphalt and paving, they removed landscaping, they left technology in place, and they removed kitchen equipment, but there's something else that happened with that.
It was funded with other
It
funds.
was funded
Yeah.
elsewhere. Okay,
Yeah.
so they got that.
And we also did talk about Public Works being able to provide some
Correct.
assistance
Right.
with the landscaping.
Correct.
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
right. Okay, building department, software package, we're leaving that in place. Building maintenance, police department interior remodel, they're leaving that. This dark room, tell me about that, Tony. That's one of the items I've got on my list.
So the,
Dark room at ASU.
the first one is very it's necessary, and that's for the dispatch area. If you've been there, you would probably agree
Yeah.
that the area is in desperate need of some attention. The second one is, get my notes here. It's to remodel and better utilize existing space. So it's to better utilize existing space and to remodel a certain area in the police department so that they can reconfigure.
But what is
some space.
do we know what this dark room is?
It's a dark room that they use over the police department.
Do what?
They used to use it as a dark room when they used to develop.
Oh,
It's
develop
a
film?
former dark
Yeah,
room.
former dark room.
Oh, it's former
Now,
dark.
better
now,
way to
now
say
it's
it.
a light gray room.
Right. Right, that's right.
Okay.
But what do they want to use it
Yeah, I know.
for?
It's not clear.
$25,000. I mean, that's one of the items on my hit list. So, again,
Space is very tight over there.
Yeah.
They're trying to reuse
yeah,
space that they really can't use right now.
it's just that I think honestly, I mean, we really need to do whatever to give this police department a better facility. So I don't know if we should be spending money now. I mean, we've got to get onto that. That's the next project. They're the last one on the totem pole. You know, we've done Beecher, we've done the built a fire department, we've
Right.
built a public works garage. You know, we've done everything. I think they're the last one standing. So I think we've really got to deal with that at some point. So I would be wondering why we should spend anything at this point until we decide what we're going to do. So, I mean, that's you want to...
Well, if we don't spend that money, then they have space that they really need
Yeah.
that they can't use.
Yeah.
And
They use it just not efficiently.
Yeah.
I don't want to put words in the chief's mouth, but I seem to recall that they wanted to sort of rethink their whole sort of IT
Yeah.
collective, so to speak. Because right now it's like all wedged into one little office. Do I have the right reference point? Is that what they're thinking about? Nobody knows. Okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I know a lot more about the other one,
Okay.
which is the dispatch center, which
Mhm.
I highly recommend.
Yeah, that one I don't have a problem with that. But I'm going to, again, I don't know if we want to do these individually. I make a motion and see if, what the board, how should we
You
work?
could do them like, maybe just do the capital at
Yeah.
in one shot.
One
In
shot?
motion? No? I don't know what if you want.
Well, yeah, let's go through the rest
All
of
right,
them.
all right,
And
so
then
that's
we
my-
can decide
That's
Yeah.
my
what
first.
the capital budget looks like.
Well,
Right.
can I just make a point about that? The idea, if you're cutting this interior remodel for something called the dark room in the ISU, the context for that is a recognition that the whole building
Right.
needs to be rethought
Exactly.
and be given attention.
Exactly.
You know, it's not about drapes, it's about
Abso-
the big picture. I just want to get that
Absolutely.
out there because I think that's really the
That's what I'm
important
saying. I
point.
mean,
Yeah.
they're due. They're due to,
Exactly.
they're due a facility.
Exactly.
I mean, they're the next one. Nobody's going to be ahead of
How
them.
best to use the money is
Right.
your point, and I get that.
Okay. Library heating system repair, 12,000. Isn't that,
That's what,
Is that the boiler?
that's it.
okay. That can't be part of the noise fund?
It could, if it depends on where the bids come in for the HVAC repair.
Okay.
I mean, it could.
So let's put that in advance. Well, I'm just going to make these, I'm going to
You
mark
want me to
these
put
up.
that on, we'll put that on the list too?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It would also be possible if we had money left over in contingency to fund
Yeah,
this year.
yeah.
Okay.
Hope we don't get any more snowstorms.
Well, it's not working now.
Every time we get a snowstorm, we knock one of these off.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
Although the one the other day, that wasn't a lot of
Wasn't too
overtime,
bad.
was it?
No,
It
it
wasn't
wasn't bad,
bad.
because it was during the
Yeah,
day, right.
Yeah.
Correct.
All right, senior center remodel, 150,000, they moved that off a year. And again, that's another thing I think we need to look at. This probably needs to be done. HVA system, library, that's out of the noise fund. Okay, that takes care of that. Country Club of Woodbridge, there's nothing. Fire Commission. The ladder truck was removed.
Mhm.
Engine 7 is in. Air
Yep.
packs
We
are
have to
in.
do
Those
that.
2 and 3 have to
Breathing
go.
air compressor. And
Yeah.
yeah, I guess we moved all the engines out. I mean, there is one currently being built though, right?
No, they're
waiting
doing
for
the bid specs at the moment.
Right,
Oh, okay.
That's engine 3.
I
We
thought we
gave
had
them,
ordered, okay.
we gave them the go-ahead
They're
with
gonna do
that.
it, okay.
We're
Right.
hopeful to do that
Right.
Okay.
coming up.
And the first payment won't even be for another year.
Right.
Now, what about technology, 37,000? You know what that is, Tom?
I don't have a lot of detail on that. I mean, we can get more. I know it's for a server replacement, but I don't know. It says here in the description that the server's out of support in 2020. So
Okay.
I guess
That's the primary part of the 37?
conceivably, yeah.
So can't we make this part of the whole technology oversight and recommendations,
You could.
as opposed to leaving it in there
Right.
as a solid dollar commitment?
All right, so we're gonna earmark that. So we're up to 2. We're up to that, and we're up to the dark room. Okay. We're gonna go back and talk about these. Next.
And you also
Information
have the
system.
library heating system too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right,
The
yes, the 12,000 for the heating system. All right, information systems, nothing. Library, nothing. Parks. I honestly think we could do without the irrigation at center field. I don't think it's urgent. I'm at that field for softball games, and magnificent, the grass, so I vote we take, I will make a recommendation, we take that out. $10,000. And concrete dugouts, center field. I guess we've been doing them in all the other places.
That's the one that's
so,
left, yeah.
we'll
It
do
saves a
that.
lot of time,
All right,
actually.
so we'll leave that in.
Manpower,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
cleaning.
The police vehicle replacement, okay. Computer land, I think we talked about that. Automated fingerprint identification system. I guess that's important. Defibrillators, we're not going to argue with that. Okay. Pool and gym, there's nothing.
Some of those little ones you guys might be able to fund through contingency if
Yeah,
there's left
yeah,
over.
yeah.
so
I mean, again,
we
it's
hope.
180. So I mean, worst case scenario, if we have to
we
come
talked
up with
about that.
30,000 for the,
Right.
Correct.
we'll
Yeah.
we'll have money. We always do. Okay, Public Works. I know we've always talked about road construction. We really, that went from what, 550?
Yeah.
So we jumped that up 300,000.
Yeah.
Would we be against the world if we, instead of 850, made it 800, took 50 out? I don't know, anybody have a feeling about that? I know roads are important, but that's a big jump. I mean, to go from 550 to 850, I don't think $50,000 is gonna.
This is the milling and the paving and the.
Yeah, this is a, yeah,
And
this
it's
is
not the
a.
winter.
He's trying to
paving
catch
and
up,
all
yeah,
that.
no,
It's
no, this
It's
is
the
strictly,
summer-
Just the,
strictly road
Road
construction.
paving,
And how long ago was it 550?
last year.
Just last year.
Yeah.
It was always 700,
It
Andy.
was usually 7.
Year after year after year, it was 700.
Correct.
Then we cut it, and actually Warren was okay with it because the roads that he wanted to do, he felt he could get another year out of it. But I'm just thinking maybe we can, only because I want to get this thing to a more reasonable, we can cut 50,000 out of that.
So
probably
I
fair.
have a question in terms of the truck replacement
Mhm.
reserve.
Yes.
So this seems to vary from year to year.
It's not really a reserve. That's what you're asking.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would, we talked about that at the selectmen's meeting, actually. Those are gonna be retitled to just truck replacement. Because that's
Okay.
actually what that is. It's not a reserve
Right.
so much anymore.
Okay.
That's how much it costs for the truck.
It's based on the aging of the trucks and
Correct.
when they need to be
Right.
replaced. Okay.
Same with.
I didn't think there was a
Yeah.
reserve, really.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those aren't really reserves anymore. That's sort of an
Okay,
old concept that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
Can I circle
thank you.
that?
Okay.
All right, so we'll talk about maybe reducing that by 50.
Okay.
We'll talk about it, and we're going to vote. Do it. Okay. Recreation. I think we heard clearly that the tennis courts need to be repaired. There's no...
Yep.
Right.
I'm not in favor of the ice skating park, unfortunately. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing, but $20,000, I just don't think we should. So I'm going to bring that up, and we can vote on that. Waste management. What are we doing about the scale now? Because
So
supposedly
we have
might be changing
Yeah,
things.
we're doing a study on waste on our transfer station that we're making our way through here. So that'll have an impact on whether you have a scale or not, whether you have a compactor or not. And so I think it's probably we already have money for one compactor replacement, and we have money for a scale. It just may not be enough. So
Okay.
I think at this point it's probably premature to put additional money into those.
All right, so we're going to hold back the
So,
20 and the 30?
Yeah.
Okay. I like where this is going. Okay. And now comes my favorite. So. I mean, I won't say any more than I said last year. I have no problem with the Country Club of Woodbridge swimming pool being open if it could sustain itself. And the money they take in from the members pays the bills. Again, I do have a disagreement with the not, and I'm going to make a motion that we move the electricity and water and insurance from the Country Club of Woodbridge budget to the pool budget. But to spend $85,800 for a pool inspection, I absolutely can't support this. Because this is this year, and then when something else goes wrong, it's an aging pool. It's probably 50 years old at least, and I will make a recommendation, or I'll make a motion that we do not do that.
So is this really just a pool inspection, or was this
It's
for
for the inspection and the possible
repairs?
resurfacing.
But there's no way of knowing.
But-
First of all, you got to drain the pool.
Right, and that's also in that cost.
Right, and you got to get in there, and you got to, and there's no way of knowing. Once they start, once they start trying to resurface it,
Can I ask a
80
question
could
about
become 180.
Didn't we do an inspection
Yeah.
last year for this? We did not.
Put it off. They
No,
thought they could get through. Oh, I'm
Well,
not
there was
supposed to
some
talk, I don't
set
know.
of
There was-
recommendations.
there was inspections on the electrical, on the building, on the,
You're ex officio.
we worked on the filter and on the, some of the stuff above the surface,
But
the
not
kiddie
the-
pool.
Okay.
But nobody actually, we didn't have a diver go in and,
Right.
No, the only way to truly see the surface is to drain it, probably let it dry for a while, and then get in there see just how flaky it is and how much is going to, once they start grinding it or whatever, then you find out what exactly how. But
So is it possible for the pool to open?
this year, yeah.
This year it's already
Yes.
been open.
it's going to open.
It's already gonna open this year.
Right, but it goes into the next fiscal
Well, I mean,
year.
and if you don't do this, there's nothing saying they can't open it the following year either, unless it's so bad that, it's,
We'll see. We're going to get the survey back too.
yeah.
I have a better idea, what people think about the pool, whether they want it or not.
Mhm.
Might be other possibilities. Something happens with the country club, the property. We'll see.
So do we want to vote on, do you want me to make a motion on capital, or you want to go to the regular budget and then go from there? What's your pleasure?
Let's do the capital, I think, while it's
Separately?
fresh in our minds.
All right.
And if we can go back through what the suggestions were.
I can list them if you'd like.
Okay.
The center field irrigation, 10,000. Ice rink, 20,000. Scale at the transfer station, 20,000. Compactor, the transfer station, 30,000. Pool, the country club, 85,800. Road paving, 50,000. Library heating, 12,000. Police dark room and ISU renovation, 25,000. Fire technology, 37,000. Total is 289,800.
289,800.
Correct.
Tony,
Yeah.
the ice skating rink is 10,000. It's 10,000
Oh, 'cause of the other.
10,000 other.
Right, yeah, okay, good catch.
What's that now?
The ice skating rink.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's $20,000 is the total project.
Right.
$10,000 is from.
Oh, from operating?
Right.
Okay.
So I have a question. So from a, because some of these,
So it's 270.
I don't know what, are we calling these cuts? What are we calling these?
They're budget reductions.
Reductions
Right,
in capital.
but they have context. So are we just putting them off a year? Does
Well-
he have a context develops?
I mean, they can certainly, if we eliminate them, they can certainly request them next year, of course. We can't eliminate them entirely if they believe that they want to do these
As
things.
opposed to putting them off into years in the future
Yeah.
and looking at it, because,
Yeah, I don't think we have to do that.
I mean, I'm asking from a mechanical point of view.
No, I would
what's
just,
the better practice?
I would just eliminate them. I don't know. I guess we could put them into the following year, but I don't know what,
Well, it's not our,
yeah,
it's not our prerogative to put them in a different year. That's
Right.
really up to the requesting department.
Right.
It's what, we determine whether they're funded or not for this.
No, I
year.
understand that, but I also don't want to, going back to what I said earlier, the idea that the police department needs this bigger focus of attention, I don't want that to get lost in a cut, so to speak. So,
Right.
I don't know how to signify
Well,
that.
Well, for me, there's two things that I'm not convinced should necessarily be cut, and one is the police department renovation. We've been talking about renovating the police department for 10 years, 15 years. It's still not done. Even if we gave approval for it, it's going to be another 3 years, if not longer. I think that they really need some help.
I couldn't agree more.
And I know that it's basically, I don't feel like it's wasted money, because I feel that they need to utilize their space better, and they need to know that we have a commitment to them. And the other thing to me is the ice skating rink. I do think that actually gets a lot of use. And it's $10,000, and I would rather see that we do it than not do it. At least initially, as we go through the proposals. So those are the two that I.
Is it 10 or is it 20? The
It's
ice cream?
10.
It's 10,
Yeah.
because 10 comes
10
from.
comes from the rec fund.
Right. So it's 10.
So it's actually 20. Just 10 has an impact on your tax rate. 10
Right.
does not.
10 does
It's
not.
still a $20,000 expenditure.
Right.
Yeah.
Other people need to talk.
I think you're exactly right about the police department. We have been kind of voicing our commitment to the police department, but we really need to.
Yeah, my biggest thing, believe me, I'm completely in support of a new police department.
Right.
Not piecemealing a room here and I think it's something we really, I remember when Ed was elected, I said to him, I said, Ed, the one thing we got to get going here is this public works garage. And Ed said, absolutely. It was in the 87 bond issue.
Right, they waited 30 years.
Right,
for
and
that building. It was awful.
Ed jumped on that horse and rode it
Yeah.
and got it built, which is why it's very apropos that his name is attached to it. He got that thing done, and that was the first thing I said to him when he got in, because we were both here back in '87 when it was first approved, a public works garage, and it never got done. Everything else got done in town. So, and again, I mean, it's deplorable, the condition, but I think we need to do a new police department, I just hate to spend piecemeal, I know what you're saying, it's going to be years. And, but it's just to me.
And I think if we can make some improvements that actually are visible and show a commitment and really make a difference for the next, 3 years or whenever we get around to this, that's important.
I would just.
It's a real quality.
I think I just need. I mean,
Yeah.
I just wish I had more information as to what 25,000 is going to get us. Remodel, dark room, and what are they going to do for 25,000?
I agree. Is it offices?
Yeah.
I mean, what is
Yeah.
it?
So how about if we get more information for you?
Yeah,
Right.
We could always make the suggestion to the change after the,
yeah. We
Yes.
after the hearing or whatever.
take it out now or don't take it out now.
Well, that's up
Put
to
it
you.
back.
You can take it out now and put it
Well,
back.
yeah.
or
Well,
you-
all right. Yeah.
or you
I'd be more than willing if they come forward and have
Or keep it in, and take it out.
an
whatever.
explanation and it makes sense and they could explain.
We can certainly get more detailed information for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I would prefer to
Leave it in.
leave it in,
All
okay, and then we can remove it based on what we
Good.
find out the use is gonna be.
You could-
Because once you remove it, it's pretty hard to get it back.
See, that's what I'm concerned about. That was exactly the thrust of my question, and perhaps because once you remove it, I think it signals something, and I think the issue really is functionality. They have, just get back, why does this make their function better, this $50,000?
Right.
And because if it's a holding pattern, and you can't demonstrate that it's gonna make the function better, then maybe Matt's point is correct, but if it's
Yes.
gonna help their functionality, then it makes a difference. So,
So where, this, all right,
Okay, so I'll take that.
I always listen
So
to
it's
Sam.
the 279,
I
800
always-
minus the
yeah.
25?
I always listen to Sam. But
Yeah.
Tell me
And
about
the
this skating rink. Where is the skating rink going? That's where the,
Where the current one is.
yeah.
Yeah, they're just
But
gonna
it's-
make improvements.
But it's not, it doesn't got equipment to freeze the water. It's still
No.
dependent on Mother Nature.
Right,
I think
correct.
they're doing something other than black
It's
asphalt,
Right.
correct?
They're gonna
It's
put concrete.
concrete
right,
versus
right,
asphalt.
Correct.
right, which will make it,
It's a permanent solution.
right, instead of every time they pour water and then the sun comes out
It melts.
and it melts. So it's
Right.
just not a
That's
functioning
called
skating
a
rink.
road.
Yeah, exactly. So black asphalt attracts sun and it melts, so.
All right.
Make it deep
All right,
enough,
so
it could be the.
So where does that leave us now? It's 289.8, we're gonna take out 25,
So we're at
And 10?
244.8.
244.8. Okay.
So if you add in the Amity figure and the revenue, you're at 422. So you got-
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah.
Yep.
And what about the fire commission technology money? What was your thought about that?
We're gonna pull that out pending more information, yeah.
More information.
And I'm sorry, what was that subtotal?
Which one?
The 244.8 plus the revenue
422.
adjustment.
Plus 80,000
Amity.
interest income in building, and the Amity's 97,417.
Yeah.
If you add all that together, it's 422, 217.
422, 217. Okay. And obviously, we've hit all the big items, so do we want a motion now to talk about capital?
Sure.
All right. Everybody understands what makes up this 244.8? So I'll make a motion that we reduce capital by a combined total of $244,800.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So where we at, Tony? 422, 217?
Yep.
Yep. That's good.
All righty. But now up above, you've already got Amity up. Okay, well, here, Amity's over here.
Yeah, right.
So all right, now let's go into the budget.
So basically, to get to under 1%, we need another
200,000,
200,000.
correct.
Another how much?
200.
Couple hundred
200,000.
thousand. It's not gonna be easy.
No,
Well,
no.
that's- yeah, yeah.
I'd go for 1.
Well, I mean, the 1% is, I
Seriously.
mean, it's aspirational,
Yeah.
but it's also arbitrary. I mean, we still have to run a town.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
Yep.
I know.
And I'm at the other end of the phone when people call up about things that are not being done.
Right, no, of course, that's exactly right. We still have to operate this
That's right.
town and deliver services.
What about prior year contingency, Tony? I know we're talking about using that,
So you're
but
about 100, I'd say if things go well, you'd probably have 180 to 100,000 to use. If
80
things
to
go
I mean, if
well.
things go well.
80 to
We don't have a lot more storms or,
Okay, all right.
you know. we don't
We're
have a
currently
major
at
problem.
180,
Right,
and we're definitely gonna get a hit from the storms, right?
right.
And there should there be
Probably
any-
30, 40,000 from there.
So we should be with 100.
Maybe another something from the fire
We
department.
have what, April, May, June, 3 months to go.
Yeah.
Anything on the horizon you can think of?
That's it. That's all I can
Yeah.
think of, yeah.
Do we have a sense of what the grand list is gonna,
Yeah, I think he's got that in
where
there.
is that? Oh, here it is, I see
The
it.
grand list.
Yeah, okay.
0.79%.
So could we
It's
also go
something.
over again the planned use for the Amity funds that are being returned?
Sure. Give me 1 second.
Because I think I'm missing one piece there.
Glad you brought your big calculator.
Oh, yeah.
I've got a little thing on the
Yeah.
phone here, I'm trying to do it and I'm messing it all
This
up.
thing is as old as me.
You've got the real big guns.
Right, right.
So have you made those adjustments, Tom?
Yeah, I'm just making them in here. Because I wanted to tell you where we're at so far.
Yeah, right.
I mean, because where I'm coming from is that if there would be some way that we could actually fund from another source the increase in special education, the $100,000, that would be a big chunk.
So basically, what'll happen is, you need, if you look in your revenue section, there's $288,000 that, in the revenue budget, that says Amity surplus funds, 22719. Okay, if
Is
you look
that
at,
for, that we looked at today, or that we looked at?
no, that you have in there, it's in your,
Okay.
one of your handouts.
Okay,
So it's part of this number
I'm
here.
sorry.
Is it this?
It's part of this other revenue section. This
Other
six-
revenues.
Yeah.
It says 698,488.
Right.
Okay.
That 698 is basically 400,000 from fund balance appropriation and 220 from Amity. That's most of it. Okay. So you need $220,000, otherwise you're going to take away expenditures, but then take away
Correct,
revenue.
correct.
So-
That I understand.
Yeah, okay. So the rest of it, the
Mhm.
340,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yep.
If you decide to use that for another purpose, it just means that at the end of the year, you have that much less to, help with current year operations. So we may have,
Right.
that means it,
340.
right. So that means instead of maybe being at 10% for 0.7% for our fund balance, we'll be at, 9.8 or 10.1 or whatever. Because I'm anticipating that you're going to take the 340 and roll it into your fund balance
Right, but
with
what
this
I'm saying.
projection. So if you don't want to do that, that's fine. It just
So-
means that it'll be
Okay,
less.
so this 340 is in the 5.2
Correct.
million?
That's correct.
Okay,
That's absolutely
see.
correct.
okay.
So if you say, we can live with 5.1,
Mm-hmm,
then you can, that's the
We can do
judgment
that.
call you have to make.
okay,
Right.
all right. We can continue to talk.
Okay.
Thank you.
So why don't we start running through the budgets? And, if there's anything you can think about, throw it out there. But first, of course, is the Board of Selectmen. And the Board of Selectmen didn't cut a dime from the Board of Selectmen. So, and I'd like to point out, because it hasn't been publicized, but our first selectman has decided not to take any pay increase. So I applaud her for that.
Trying to do my little part here, not so much. I just feel so bad.
Every little bit counts.
That's
So that was a cut.
Thank you, Beth. Thank you very much, Beth.
from all of us, thank you.
Matt,
We're not taking any more either, by the way. What?
I just got some info on the dark room.
Oh. How'd you do that?
Karen, I'm sorry, that took too long. Move past it already.
There'll be a new door with, a new office with a new door that is not currently there. Go through new office wall to ISU office. Install another interior door, new ISU carpet, concrete work, concrete header, new darkroom carpet, plus paint in both areas.
So they're making one out of two, is what it sounds like. One big one out of two smaller ones. Is that what you said?
It seems, well, there's gonna put a door from the darkroom into, probably,
Yeah, like a connected
yeah,
space.
connected
Yeah.
space.
Okay. Board of Selectmen. There's not a whole lot of wiggle room here. I don't know, legal fees litigation. 50, 50, 50, 50, 50. We always spend 50?
In 17, we spent 41.
Yeah.
This year, we'll probably
Give it
spend
back if we can.
42, 43, probably. We've got a few thousand there if you want to cut it.
Okay.
5,000?
8,000.
I'd say 5.
I'll raise your 5. What'd you say, Tom?
5.
5. Okay.
How about the new grant writer? So on the revenue side, is there any, I see this at Yale all the time.
We're hoping
People are so
we were
conservative.
supposed to hear about a $250,000 grant in the next, we hope mid-March, which is today, but nothing happened yet. So, and we have, she's working on a sustainability project will bring in lots of opportunities for grants in lots of different areas. And she's also just got another opportunity with something with Human Services. And Margaret actually asked if we could help with grants with you guys, and absolutely. So she's going to be a busy bee. We haven't done, I mean, it's only been a couple months since it
Sure.
started, but we have one already in. And just kind of, if I could just add, Tony and I had a quick phone call yesterday with our two legislators, and we asked about the STEEP grant that we're waiting for, the $500,000 for the center building. And nothing has been cut yet out of the STEEP grant at the state, but they have no idea what's going to happen. So that's a grant update.
Okay. Next, probate court. Can't do anything with that. Town clerk. They made a few cuts. Again, it's primarily salary, and there's just nothing
There's no there.
there's nothing there.
It's a big election time. You
Yeah.
see in the registrar's budget as well. And
Yeah.
obviously, if it isn't used,
Yeah.
it will come
Oh, yeah,
back. But
yeah.
this is sort of planning for the worst of it.
Of course, that's, $30,000 increase, but it's necessary with all the elections. All right, government access television, that's pretty cut and dry. General administration. Tony, are there any, again, Amity came through with a big reduction based on insurance. We're not final with that, right? Medical
No,
insurance?
I would say there's some medical insurance
All right, we'll talk about that.
stuff when we get there, but not in property or liability.
All right, we'll talk about that in the fringe benefits.
Yep, I have some fringe benefit suggestions.
Okay, good.
But Tony, is this 192 for liability insurance premium, is that a firm
That's
number?
property, auto, and liability. No, it's not.
Is that a firm number?
No.
Okay. Information systems, doesn't look like there's much there.
That might get better also with the IT initiative that
Yeah.
we're starting, so.
Yeah, okay. Finance department. Again,
Already in the negative.
not much there. Tax collector. 2 salaries, and everything else is tiny. Tax assessor. Again,
There's a,
the first 3 items are,
It's a step increase.
right,
That's
90%, 85% of the budget. All right, so, okay. Board of Assessment Appeals, that's a biggie. All right. Board of Finance.
I actually have a question about the assessor. So there are 2 large software maintenance agreements for the assessor. Vision
Right.
7760
Right.
and the quality data assessor 5700 for a total of 13,060.
Right. Correct.
So
Vision's the is the software she does all the assessing work, the values, the calculations, and then once that happens, the quality data is the part that it's mostly used by the tax collector, but the quality data takes that information from Vision and helps to create the tax bills for the assessor and for the collector.
okay.
And Tony, correct me if I'm wrong, but Vision is used by most towns.
Most towns
right?
use Vision, yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
And most towns use quality, actually.
And, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
that helps a lot.
Board of Finance. Go ahead, Sandy. No, you did it last year, come on. Let's cut it 15, contingency.
Okay,
I mean, we have 185. Is that right?
That's fine if you want to
yeah,
do that.
that's okay.
Well, we should share in the pain, though, a little.
I'm fine with that.
We're good, we're very good with the contingency fund, and so are all the boards and commissions.
And the
They all,
departments are, right?
they all,
There's not an expectation that you're going to automatically get contingency.
right.
Right.
Are we on a 3-year contract with the audit company?
4.
A 4-year contract?
Yeah.
And where are we in the?
We're not committed to it, I don't think. We can always change it.
You
from that.
could, yes.
Yeah.
Years 3 and 4, you could change. But I think it comes up to bid not this year, but next year.
Okay, I was just curious.
Town planning and zoning. I've got to make a statement about this. I don't believe any of you were at the meeting a couple of weeks ago when this plan of conservation and development was discussed. Beth was there, and she spoke, I guess, not in favor of it necessarily, or concerned, let's say?
I was concerned, and I wanted them to take a little bit more time and wait for our CERC effort,
Right.
efforts, because we're contracting with a company, the Economic Development Initiative that we've tried, and I thought we could do it better and do it together rather than just going forward at this time. Some of the stuff was actually reasonable that I thought they should make changes to, but some of the stuff I think we needed to they needed to rethink a little
So,
bit.
for those of you who weren't there, they've hired someone to develop a plan for the lower part of Woodbridge. I don't want to call it the Flats because people get offended, but I say it admirably at the Flats because it's a great place. But they're talking about developing it, and as many of the speakers said, there's a lot of residential discussions, and they're going to put residential apartments above commercial, and the person who's developing this project, she spoke, and she talked about trees and the kind of trees they would pick out that wouldn't heave the sidewalks and the roads, and she talked about all this crazy stuff. Never mentioned the word schools. Never mentioned the word traffic in her presentation. And of course, people there were offended by that. And as a matter of fact, one person in particular said, how can you develop a plan like this without having Board of Education involved? I mean, the possible impact on the schools. How can you do this without talking to the fire chief and what it's going to mean when you have 45-foot, 5-story buildings being built? Police chief.
Well, it was an information meeting, correct?
Well,
They weren't, right?
she was pretty specific about what she envisions for down there.
It was an
Yeah.
information meeting
Yeah.
to give information and get information,
Right.
correct?
Very true.
Yes, but let's just say that the information they got was not favorable. And
Well, the
there was,
opinions they got
Well,
were
the
not
opinions.
favorable.
There
That's
wasn't-
not the same as
there
information.
wasn't one
You're
speaker,
entitled to your opinion, but
Right.
you're not entitled to your
right,
facts.
but there wasn't
Let's
one
remember that.
speaker who spoke in favor of anything that they were talking about. In fact, one speaker talked about his family having a tremendous amount of land in all these different zones, and that developers are already calling, looking to, and he said, if this ever goes through, that people are going to be selling land all over the place to try and develop into residential and whatever. But again, I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that. I mean, I drive 4 miles out of my way. My office is in Hamden, and the most logical way to go is in the Parkway. And in the morning, I drive miles out of my way to avoid, getting on the Parkway over there. And coming home at night, I drive to Orange to get home. So I mean, traffic is atrocious. One woman spoke and said, without knowing what the state is going to do, how can you possibly be talking about doing anything until you know the state plan? So, I mean, it went on, and I didn't hear one positive comment or one positive opinion. Yes.
Well, I was positive that they really worked. I have
Oh,
to
they
applaud
worked
I
hard.
have to applaud the commission for working very, very hard for a long time, and they were trying to do something related to the plan of conservation and development. I think that they got input, and maybe they'll go back and
I hope so.
revisit
Isn't
parts
the
of it.
exercise one of trying to create a vision?
Well, the vision she presented is not the vision I think the people of Woodbridge want to see.
I think we just have to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, this is so outside and beyond our remit tonight.
Well, I'm planning to
Right.
remove
Right.
$10,000 from this budget. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, so, and that's, but what does this refer to, these general professional
Correct.
services?
That's this planner.
So as I understand it, the POCD, I mean, part of this is you develop zoning regulations to conform to the POCD, which was approved by the town.
Mhm.
So there is a technical side of creating zoning regulations, and I think this was the first pass. Am I not right about that?
You are correct.
Okay, so, I mean, I don't know how, unless, I don't think the 6 of us are going to sit here and write zoning regulations.
No.
So I don't know how you do it unless you have a
Right.
professional planner. I don't know who it should be, or maybe, I'm not talking about that, but from an expenditure point of view, I don't know how you do it unless you spend that money.
But again, how can you be talking about what they're talking about, and that is a lot of residential down there. Which the thing that really bothered me is the people the people who you always saw whenever there was a discussion about the country club, they came out in droves. Not one of them was down there for this. Like, who cares? That's, you know, that's down there. We care about up here. And that was troubling to me that, because this would be, I mean, putting 55 and over housing on the country club, and I'm not taking any positions here, would be far less damaging to the town than what they're talking about doing down there. So
We do have $10,000 in the Board of Selectmen budget for CERC, which we hope will give us some of this expertise in terms of planning.
Do they
What-
provide that service?
They could, yep.
But I mean, to make a presentation as she
And then
did.
maybe,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, and then
Okay.
perhaps, you know, if we think about it, and once CERC comes back with a recommendation, which is perhaps sometime the end of the summer, then we could, if there's money in contingency for next year, if they need a planner to go forward working with CERC, take it then. I don't know. If you want to put it out. I don't know.
As I said,
It's your decision.
to be developing a plan where there's going to be significant residential apartments down there, if this, and up to 5 stories, 45 feet, 9 feet per story, there could be 5-story buildings. What's it going to do to Beach Road School? I mean, we got 300 or 400 kids living down there. I mean, you could forget about building another school. So, I mean, it's just ill-conceived why they're even discussing this. And so, I mean, I'm going to make a motion, or I'm going to make a suggestion that we do not approve this $10,000 to further this study from this person. So, and you could vote it down. But I want to go on record as saying I don't favor giving her any more money, because what I heard from her was just totally ridiculous. That she didn't mention school, she didn't mention traffic. I mean, the traffic down there, come on, you've been down there. Can you imagine if they're going to develop this thing the way they're talking about with, I mean, coffee shop. One guy got up and said, they're talking about a coffee shop. He said there's 7 coffee shops in Woodbridge. We don't need a coffee shop.
But that's developer specific. So if you go in there with a restaurant proposal and you have to get past planning and zoning, you have to submit a traffic study, you may well be right. You may not be able to get past a traffic study. But it's not concept specific. You can't discuss traffic in the abstract unless you know. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but in the 20 years that I did land use work,
Yeah.
when you did a traffic study, you did it development specific. So that may not be the. It's certainly an important concept. I'm not so sure it's the issue at what was happening at that informational meeting.
Yeah. Well, there's also our town clerk brought up that you can build up to a 250,000 square foot building down there, according to these developments. Costco is 125,000 square feet. So take Costco and double it and put it down there.
Well, I
That's
have no idea
allowed.
whether or not that's a distortion or not.
Okay, well.
So
Okay, you know what? I'm going to make the suggestion, and you guys can vote it down, or I just want to go on record as saying I'm not in favor of spending any more money on what I heard the other night. So, and it's strictly, and again, you could say it's none of our. It is financially. I think it'll be a disaster if any of this stuff goes through.
Well, but here's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that what town planning and zoning is saying that they need to write zoning regulations that conform with the plan of conservation and development that was approved by the town. You're basically saying that you're not going to give them that revenue to be able to do that task. That's what I'm hearing.
Not on the road they're proceeding on.
Because you don't like the substance of what they're doing.
Right.
Okay, and that's fine. I
And-
just want to make clear that that's what you're doing.
Not to
Okay.
not to overstep my bounds. I think it'll be a financial disaster if what I heard that night goes through.
That's
So,
substance.
right.
Not
Well,
process. Okay.
dollars. Okay.
Okay.
We'll come back to that. Have you been consulting on this, Bob, at all?
No.
No. Okay.
I have one phone call about it just to clarify what space availability was. Just an interesting person, but no.
Okay. Well, that one speaker several speakers very clearly kept saying, you know, you put residential apartments down there. I mean, you know, we move 7 kids up at Amity, and our budget goes up $800,000 if things don't work out well. I mean, it would be a disaster. In my opinion, it would be the ruination of Woodbridge. So, okay, zoning board of appeals is nothing. The center, nothing. Former fire station, nothing. Country Club of Woodbridge, okay.
Can I go back to the center for a second?
Yeah.
Wasn't electric supposed to go way down? Am I not right?
For the center?
Right, didn't we, wasn't it supposed to do that? Don't we have a gas line in there?
Gas, Yeah, we have gas in there.
Right, so wasn't electric supposed
Oh,
to
we
go down?
had, well, heating, you mean. You mean gas is for heating. I'm not-
I'm just looking at this line, right?
Why are
5522
you
west.
expecting electric to go down?
That's electricity.
Electricity, okay.
Yeah,
Not for heat. Okay, got
right.
it. Self-sufficient lights on. Okay.
Country Club of Woodbridge. Okay, I'm going to suggest, and I don't, Tony, do you need a motion to do this? But again, electric buildings, there's no way the Country Club of Woodbridge is costing us $29,000.
No, so in anticipation of this coming up, I calculated approximately, it's all of the water. So that's the, you want to know how much is dedicated to the pool?
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want people to say, to come to the, well, you're spending $65,500 or $70,500 on the Country Club of Woodbridge for what? You know,
So it's
the
roughly,
pool.
it's all of the water.
All the water, that's
Yeah.
10,000.
Yeah.
Again, it's just moving, I'm not
And
talking about
15,000 for the electric, roughly half.
15 for electric. And what
Yeah.
about oil heating? That's for the building,
That's for the building.
okay. And insurance is in general administration for
Yeah,
that building?
I would have to, I'm not sure what that is,
All right.
insurance.
So then, would you, I mean, do we need a,
No, I'll just put it in
Motion?
the list. You're gonna be, actually.
well, no, it's not gonna, that's not gonna
It's not gonna
affect
reduce
anything, but I just
No,
want
no,
to,
but
I
what you're
want it to
effectively
go.
doing is you're reducing these,
Yeah,
but increasing the
Increasing
others.
the country club,
Yeah.
or the
Right.
pool.
Right,
But Tony, we're heating the building so it doesn't freeze, right?
Correct.
So can
And
we
security.
winterize and just get rid of that?
you could, if then you wouldn't be able to use, well, I guess you're right, you wouldn't be able to use the, if you winterize it, we went through this whole discussion. First of all, if you winterize it, then
The sprinklers are gone.
sprinklers wouldn't be able to be used, right? So then we'd have to cut the sprinklers, which means you wouldn't be able to use the lockers in the summer.
Does that
So
do
I
something
guess
to
it's
insurance?
somewhat related to the pool.
Yeah, does that do something to insurance?
Yeah, well, and then if we don't use the lockers, then you get a
Sprinklers.
vacant property policy and you
It
pay more
adds,
for
it adds to our
Wasn't there an
insurance.
issue of security as well? Exit signs and securing the building and.
Yeah, that we
and all
did,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess it's somewhat related to use by the pool, because if you winterize it, then we would have
Yeah, I
to.
mean, why, we're, so
We
we're
couldn't use
heating,
the
we're heating
sprinklers.
that building
So, because the sprinklers would,
because the sprinkler system, that we, but nobody goes in that building, so.
right, but you need the sprinklers operational in the summertime when you're using it for
The pool.
the pool. So I guess you're right, it's sort of related to the pool.
All right.
And isn't it all related? Like hypothetically, if there were no pool, the building
We
would
would,
be
no, we still have
We would
electricity.
just go there and change clothes.
Let me,
There's some minor electricity.
what I said, Tony said, well, you know, if we don't have the pool, then it's a vacant building, and I said, you know what? Cancel the insurance, who cares if it burns down? Really, what do
Well,
we,
you
why?
want the liability insurance. So
Right, oh yeah, I'd have a
okay.
big liability policy, and I'd spend a lot of money on no trespassing signs all over the place.
You don't mean who cares if it burns down.
I do.
You don't mean that.
I don't care if it burns down, how's that?
It's a solid building.
Yeah,
It needs to be fixed, but
well, it's never gonna be fixed, yeah.
So do you want me to move, if you use that?
Use your judgment, Tony.
The
Move the things
electricity is, a lot of, some of the electricity is to operate the furnace and the pumps and all the stuff to keep the heat on. And
Well,
So it's
yeah,
just
I
a
mean,
parking lot light,
yeah,
it's just the
I mean,
lights.
what I would probably do, if I would look at what the electric bill is, like, and then see what it jumps up to once the pool opens.
Right, and then a
That's what I
portion of
did.
it. That makes sense.
Just use your judgment.
Yeah,
All I
okay.
wanna do is I wanna recognize
Okay,
some of this money in the pool budget.
fair enough.
Makes perfect sense.
Okay.
Police Department. Just to address what we heard this evening about the lieutenant, we really can't, it's not in our power to restore that position, obviously. And I believe we can only raise their budget up to what they originally requested, is that correct?
That's
Tom?
correct.
So
Yeah, with the department.
it's really, but if I'm looking at this correctly, so they eliminated the lieutenant's position, but the budget's only going down
So
by
Matt,
$2,000.
let me ask you, I have to look into whether or not, if the country club pool only requested, that issue applies to the utilities for the pool also. I'm not sure if you can request more for the pool than what the
Oh, I see
department
what you're saying.
requested for the utilities. I have to
comes
check
back to get
I'll
you.
check with town council
Yeah,
on that.
find out.
Yeah,
We made a mistake. It's not properly reflected in the budget.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll ask him about
It's
that.
not a big deal, and I would just footnote at the bottom of the pool budget that,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I mean, so in other words, they eliminated a position and the budget's only down $2,000. Oh, I'm sorry, found more than that. Yeah, okay, I'm looking at what the Board of Selectmen reduced it by 2,000. So, okay, yeah, the police officer line item is up, because they're gonna replace a police officer by eliminating the
Right.
lieutenant.
Correct.
I think there was a step increase as well,
Yeah.
right, somewhere.
And that's where the overtime went down.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at this. This is a big. Overtime, 100,000.
Now, in terms of labor negotiations, this is,
That's what caught my eye as well.
okay, so understood. All right, go ahead, ask.
No, you go ahead.
How often is the contract negotiated? Or is this basically a portion of what we pay for?
Correct. The portion what we pay annually for labor advice
Advice.
and labor consultation.
So to cut the overtime would be crazy, because it was 163 2 years ago, it's 148 projected.
The argument on the overtime
If they
was
have
always-
more people,
was always that if they have vacant positions or positions that are injured, typically what happens is you may spend more in overtime, but you're not paying the labor or the salary. So we've always been this trade-off with
okay.
having a fully funded, like, look at this year, for instance.
Yeah.
If you look at the projected,
148.
it's having $80,000 projected savings in salary, but you have a $48,000 issue in overtime.
Mm-hmm.
It's because they've had vacant positions or people leave, and so you're never always fully staffed with it at the police with a force that large usually.
Okay.
So that's why that's the difference in overtime. Yeah.
Is this data processing number likely to be in play given the sort of technology?
There's possibly some savings there. It depends on how things work out with the new arrangement. But my guess is next year you may be able to adjust that. I mean, this year I'm not sure. You
Right.
could certainly take a shot.
Well, the biggest single expense is that next gen maintenance fee.
Right,
That's 15,000.
right. So if you look at that list,
Yeah. And I presume the prepaid time block
That's
is
the
basically
one.
their portion of what?
no, that's the one you could probably eliminate.
Oh,
Is that time block one?
okay.
That's because that's assuming that Amity does all the work. All of the Amity work is funded in the IT budget.
Okay, so you have a prepaid time block of like 29,100 in information systems,
That's correct.
and that's what you're using to pay Amity?
Well, that was correct. That's what we used to pay our vendor. Now we're using that same money to pay Amity. It's a little less.
Okay.
But the payment to Amity includes both the town and the police department.
Oh, so we can remove that $3,100.
Correct. Right.
Okay, that's something.
Which one is that now?
It's a, you're not going to see it here, but it's in
Oh, okay.
this list.
I'd say
It's the very bottom.
$3,000.
3,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
What line item is it from?
Data processing in the police department.
It's
52210.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3,000?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, fire department. Okay, let me start with, I can't possibly agree with a 15.82% increase in the 50215 line item. It sends a bad message to all the other people in town, and I think it should be brought down to,
So, if I can make a suggestion,
sure.
that hasn't been reviewed yet by,
Personnel, we're
Personnel
having
committee.
trouble. Terry Schatz is on the.
Oh, all right.
She had a
so
someone passed in her
If
family, so we haven't
you-
been able to do
you
personnel.
can
yet.
certainly, remove that, and then if the personnel committee.
Yeah, let them
approves it, you
overrule
can-
us.
You can add it back.
That happened a
Happens.
couple of times to us, where we cut it back and they overruled us.
Right.
And caused all kinds of problems in town because people were aggravated. Okay, so I'm going to make the motion that we reduce, let's see, 12923 times 1.025 That's not right.
So
Oh,
where?
oh yeah, no,
where-
oh no, I got the wrong one. Let's see, regular clerical, 47,590.
50215.
47,590 times
What's your regular?
1.025.
Yeah.
I want to bring that line down to, from 55,120 down to 48,780, which will make it in line with what everybody else is getting for a raise.
That's the 2.5% increase.
2.5, right.
Okay.
So it goes from 47, let me make sure of that, 47,590 times 0.25 plus 48,780. Yeah, 48,780. And in no way am I questioning what this person does. I just don't
So we're
think.
clear, that's 6340 is the reduction.
55,120 plus 48,780. 6340. Okay. And in no way am I. It's just I've always felt this way, and I've been overruled. But I just don't think you can give one person. Just it sends a bad message. So okay. I would also.
Well, their training costs.
Training, right.
I mean, for the whole town, it's like a $49,600 budget. Fire is 62% of that. And there are three, pretty expensive trainings. One is the Fire Department Instructor Conference, that's $8,100. Firefighter 1 training, $8,000. Driver training is $3,400, and forcible entry training is $7,475.
But what's the alternative if they're not trained? I mean, I'm
The firefighter 1 training, as I understand it, they have to do that.
at least 2 of these are mandatory. Well, 1 is mandatory.
That's to become a
Yeah.
firefighter. You have to do the
The big
firefighter 1, I think.
Okay.
What are the other ones? I don't know.
What,
Sorry.
Fire Department Instructors Conference? What is that?
Is that the trip?
Yep.
The what?
They take a trip
They
to.
go to a conference.
They
once
go to
a year,
Indianapolis.
They go to a conference in Indianapolis.
Several of them. But again, it's not the whole department. So the whole department doesn't get training.
Right.
4 or 5 of them go out to Indianapolis and attend a convention. Hotels, airfare, the whole bit.
I have to question.
That's the 815609?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. What is forcible entry, do you know?
I mean, some of these, that's just what happens, was spent last year. I'm not saying they do that every year. I'm not sure if that's an every year training or if they, have different things they do. I know the firefighter 1 and the conference are annual. Some of these others, little ones are, but I'm not sure the forcible entry is every year. That was like, they do, different years.
What line is it? Is that technical? What line is that? I'm
No,
trying
no,
to-
no,
I don't see
that is-
training.
It's all over.
54633.
5-4.
Total
630.
35,000.
Oh, professional, okay.
35,000.
35,000, okay. All right, so why don't we just reduce it by 10,000? Okay,
Okay.
that's good.
And that's, are you specifically, so I'm clear here, earmarking anything in particular?
Well, I think
I
that's,
don't think we should.
Or are you suggesting that
They could
if for
perhaps.
some reason they don't need forcible training 1 year, they could decide to send,
well,
people
More
wherever
people
they
to
want
this
to
other
go.
Maybe
conference.
we
Yeah, I
need-
just want to
maybe-
make sure we're all clear about that.
maybe before we sign a purchase order for 8,000, we get a little understanding of, if 5 guys go out to Indianapolis, how does that,
Okay, I just want to make
how
sure
does
we're clear
that
about that.
improve the entire department? I
Right.
mean,
how does
okay.
that-
you told me we were having
benefit
somebody
the
coming in
department?
for
Sure.
8156, and all the firemen were going to be there, and they were going to all take a course or. But to send 5 guys out to a conference,
So I'm hearing a distinction between training versus convention,
right?
or
Right.
training versus
Yeah.
conference.
Right.
And that makes
I remember at one of I went to their budget because I'm a liaison.
Uh-huh.
That meeting, they actually explained that the guys go out and they divide different, it's a courses, they do training, they
There's probably
bring
panels
back
and
everything
speakers,
to
yeah.
all departments. And sometimes if they don't have enough people, they can't go to each training module. So, but, they can decide they choose
Well,
to do
I
that
guess the
versus.
question would be, from my perspective, is how many local fire departments are sending people to this kind of a
I have no
conference?
idea.
And is there not some regional way to approach this.
That's a possibility.
So
That
that,
I
you
don't
know,
know.
maybe there are a few from different departments and then they all share amongst them as a group, as opposed to everyone going to cover everything.
Do we have very many, are there any other people who go away on these kind of conventions in town? You don't, right?
No, I don't.
Well, I think you can see from the complete list here,
Yeah.
there's nothing like that.
Yeah. Well, like you said, they have the biggest training line out of America.
I say that occasionally in the police department, although it happens rarely. I don't think there was any last year. Right,
I mean, their biggest item is for training supplies, which is
Yeah.
ammunition.
right.
That's it. That's $6,500.
No, I'm not, nothing's coming immediately to mind.
Well, within the education budgets, there are professional training conferences and development, professional development line items.
And sometimes the police will use grant funds to send like SRO training or accident reconstruction training, but they typically use grant funds for that.
But I think we should, I think, all these other things, firefighter one, EMT training, car seat training, vehicle, those all make sense, but this conference, I think
Maybe
before we
more.
sign a
I think
purchase
what Tony's
order,
asking is that, are we just reducing this
No,
by
I think-
10,000, or are we making a suggestion?
specifically that. And then
That's
the
what
rest,
I
the
said.
rest comes out of the, whatever.
That's my
And
question.
again, these are 30,000, they're requesting 35, so they raised it by 5,000. Well, all these listed here are 30,716 the current year.
Mhm.
Now they're asking for 35,000. I guess they've always asked
Well,
for
they have
35,000.
35,000 in
Yeah.
this current year's
Yeah.
budget.
They have a few more firefighters now.
Yeah.
They've had some new.
Again, I just question this conference, I guess. Because you know, we're not sending the whole fire department out to Indianapolis, so.
Right, but I think the issue is, are we targeting one item, or are we saying we feel that there's too much money in there?
Well, I would just, honestly, I'd like to perhaps get an understanding of what this is. I would hate to say, well, just drop 10,000, okay, we're still gonna do that, but we're gonna eliminate CPR training, or we're gonna eliminate driver training. Those are the things I think it makes sense. So I would specifically
I don't
say,
think that they can eliminate.
we're gonna
those
cut
things.
$10,000, but we specifically, before we approve 815609 for a conference, somebody's gotta be convinced that that's in the best interest of the
So we
department.
need more information on it. I agree with you about that.
Right. The 10,000 is a number, but certainly that's the one we're questioning.
Okay.
And where I'm coming from with this is that it may well be that the conference, in fact, contains training.
It's
That's
possible.
correct.
And that's
And
what
it
we need
does.
to find out.
Yeah,
It does, that's correct.
It does.
And firefighting is very technology heavy.
Yeah.
They stay current by going to this conference.
Right.
Okay. And finally, I would just, the fireman's incentive. Okay. Why am I not finding these things? Volunteer incentives.
Where are you?
They're raising it up to 80,000.
5222.
Again, as the old timer on this board, this came in under Russ Stoddard. And it was probably about $25,000 back then. And it's grown, and it's grown, and it's grown. Now, we used to do savings bonds. That's what it first started out as. And I think more guys were getting savings bonds than are getting what they have now. Now they have like a retirement plan. And I think we need to have an understanding of the criteria as to who gets what. Because I think what's happening, and I could be wrong, but until I see the numbers, I did at some point, a few people are getting a lot of this money. A small group, there's how many firemen, 55 or so? I think a small group of firemen are getting the bulk of this money.
So this was discussed at their budget meeting. I'm embarrassed to say I don't remember what they said
Yeah.
about it, but it would be helpful.
We need to,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't think that they discussed Matt's questions.
No,
No,
we need
not
to
that
see-
specific question, but
Right.
they did talk about
Right.
volunteers.
We need
And
to
I
see
thought
the
they were-
criteria.
They did say there were more volunteers coming up.
Right.
And
I would like to
others
see,
moving into
I'd
that
like to see more
retirement
guys get some
section.
kind of a benefit.
Yeah.
When you have a general benefit, like a lot of towns have, you get a reduction in your property taxes. The problem is if you don't live in town, or you don't, if you
Right,
live with
right,
mommy and
right.
daddy, and you don't.
Right.
But I just think we need to get a look at this. This is different now. This is like an annuity type
Right.
plan or something.
That's correct.
And I did see numbers at one point, and I questioned it then, and I just, at this point, I do not want to just add $10,000 to this until we get a whole lot. So I don't know if we move that to contingency or we just eliminate it, and if we decide we want to do that, we take it out of
You
contingency.
could do that.
All right, so I would say let's eliminate that. Okay. And then we need to sit down and
More information.
and maybe we need to sit down with whoever it is who runs this thing. This is
You don't mean eliminate the whole line item?
No,
No, no,
10,000.
no,
The
no, no.
10,000.
The increase.
Uh-huh.
And,
Okay.
you know, maybe after we see where this is coming from,
On the basis that we get more information.
Right.
Because they did talk about it, I just can't
Mhm.
remember what
Yeah.
everything was saying.
I'm just feeling that,
But I
you know,
don't think it was specific.
if
to
the young guys
that
are, if the
night.
young guys are out there breaking their necks
Okay.
and getting
I
nothing,
don't remember either then.
we need to know that.
Yeah. I don't want to misrepresent it, that's why I think it's better we hear
Right.
from them.
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
We were
Medical
both there, we heard
services-
different things. You figure.
Medical services, nothing, district animal control. Any chance for any more additional
We're
revenue
working
there?
on it. We've got two, possibly one, possibly two other towns.
Which
I
would
think
help
one
us?
is a good one.
Yeah,
It's more solid.
One is a solid.
Second one,
the second one, we're hopeful.
yeah, we have to do
So-
some more
You're
legwork.
building momentum.
Yeah.
We are,
So this could
Yeah.
drastically improve.
yep.
We're just not sure it's in enough time for this budget.
Yeah.
Okay, building department, not too much there.
Guess we want to get them on the dotted line sooner rather than later, right? So
Yes.
maybe it will be this
Could
budget.
be, could be.
And I might add, another point with that TPZ thing is that they were saying that they didn't believe Terry Gilbertson or Christine Sullivan were consulted about this either. So they were complaining about that they're not getting much
So
input.
there's a real process issue there.
Yeah, really. I mean, I'd love to hear, I mean, I'd rather hear from Terry Gilbertson and Christine Sullivan than just about anybody about knowing the way this town operates, and the Board of Ed, and the fire department, and the police department, to see what they feel the impact of this would be, so. Okay. Public Works.
It was nice to see the electric go down.
Yeah, that's our
Based on
LED,
the proposal.
LED
Yeah.
streetlights. Yep,
Yeah.
I was happy about that. That was a good savings. We
The
did,
big increase in public works is Warren is requesting a lot more money for tree removal. You'll see the
Seems like a good idea.
rental, right. So I
Is that
asked him,
equipment rental?
We contributed one in our.
I asked him, I said,
Right
so
in front of our-
the most of the trees come down that, you know, he was gonna take
that's
down,
right.
so. He said, unfortunately not. So, but that's.
So what,
that's
he identifies trees that he thinks need to come down,
Correct.
and
And then he
Subs it
goes
out.
out to bid and gets pricing on
okay,
it, and then they take them out,
okay.
take them down.
Um,
That's where the big increases in
Yeah.
that line there.
Now, road maintenance, as opposed to,
Right,
that is,
that's like cold patch.
yeah,
Pipe, drainage,
yeah, okay,
stuff like that.
okay. Waste management. Now, that could, I mean, we're in the process of looking at that, right?
We are, yeah,
And we could have some changes there.
yeah.
Well, and there
There's a
already are
problem-
reductions here.
Yeah, and there's
those
a,
were
right.
reflective of actuals that
There's a-
certainly the bulky waste, right?
There's a
and
problem
recycling.
with,
Yeah.
actually, I learned about it after I did this. Currently, we get about $20 per ton for our recycling. So, it's a contract. There's a problem with, you know how we have single stream recycling? You probably heard a little bit about the contamination issue with the recycling and about China and some other countries aren't taking recycling. Have you heard about this
No.
issue? Yeah. So, it's drastically changed the recycling market for plastics in particular. So, our contract is up on June 30th. It's possible we may have to pay for that.
Whoa.
So, we're still going through the
All right,
negotiations.
well,
but-
then we'll leave this alone.
So, I'm not sure how that will impact this line.
So give me that again, we're gonna have to what?
Because we used to be able to, we may have to pay to get rid of our recycling as opposed to getting money for it.
Really?
Has to do with, when you have single stream recycling, as I understand, I'm not an expert here, but when the glass breaks, it is one of the major contaminants of the plastic.
Mm.
Oh, wow.
It has something to do with the glass.
When you say single stream, you mean we don't separate it anymore?
Correct.
No.
Which my wife has been separating it, and I finally ran into the guy and he said, "What are you separating it for?" My wife said, "That's what we're supposed to do. All in one bin. You're making a lot of work for me, okay?" And he just dumps it all in the back of the truck. I said, "That's a good way of doing it." So now I understand.
That, yeah.
Okay. My wife wasn't happy. She's been doing this for 3 years. Okay, more to come on that. Remediation, that's a good one.
Isn't that wonderful after so many years?
Right, after all the
Zero.
craziness.
Finally, zero.
Yeah,
Right.
0.
Building maintenance, no, there's not much there. Repairs and maintenance building, 50,000.
As you can see, the department did a great job of coming in with a lean budget.
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
And very, very conscientious.
They're a great group.
Yep.
Human services. I don't think there's much there.
I don't either.
Recreation. Again, they've taken a lot of revenue to offset this, and there's really nothing. It's all payroll. Let's look at it. I mean, the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the whole budget.
And they still ended up with a decrease,
Yeah.
total decrease of 10%.
Okay, pool and gym. Okay.
And what did Parks want? I'm sorry. Not in Parks yet.
All right, let's go to parks.
It's to,
They asked for some capital that Board of Selectmen recommended not to fund.
I think I made a note, tennis courts at the town hall.
Yeah, we're hoping we could do that in the
Yep.
current year.
Oh,
Out of this
okay.
budget.
Okay,
Yeah.
Right,
fine, no problem.
this year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
What's that, parks? We're good
And
with
there's
parks?
extra part-time work for that Adam has requested for an additional part-time assistance, seasonal assistance.
Yeah.
That was at the club, right, Karen? Is that what that was for? You remember?
At the country club?
Over here, the
Yeah.
rowing and.
Because of the extra stuff required at the point that he anticipates he'll have to do at the country club.
We're good with parks?
Yep.
Woodbridge Outdoor Pool. You'll make those, well, you gotta see if you can make those changes.
Correct. I'll have to see. I'm not sure if I can.
If not, then
We could put a footnote.
I want a footnote for the budget hearing that
Yeah.
this doesn't really reflect what the outdoor pool costs. Thomas Darling House, library.
In the library, we're in the process of putting all LED lights in. So that could have an impact, should have an impact on the electric.
That'd be great.
So
Yeah.
I mean, you could take a risk there and we can try to anticipate something or.
So to save me the time of opening my book, and what is automation? I mean,
That's what they pay the Lion.
It's for Lion.
That's our membership, and that's all the computer support,
Yeah.
all that.
and everybody's okay with $75,000 for books, music, and movies?
It's a library.
So?
What they do.
I mean, it's kind of what they do, right?
Well, there's a lot of programming
Right.
in here as well, so it's not just in the other ones.
Conservation Commission, okay. Got that down to 900. Economic Development Commission, okay, nothing much there. And then wetlands, right, employee benefits. Okay, Tony, what do we got here?
So there's a couple of items that are adjusted because of the actions of the police department. They reduced the lieutenant's salary, added an officer's salary, and there's this difference of, say, $30,000. So that impacts benefits that are paid based on your salary, retirement, FICA, Medicare, those sorts of things. So, and then there's, and some health insurance adjustments. And then there's, so I could just list the accounts.
Go ahead.
Police retirement, $5,000.
51210.
Right.
5,000?
Yep. Police health insurance, 26,000.
That would be
513.
51310, how much?
26,000.
26,000, okay.
Town health insurance,
Town.
4,000,
Town health insurance. Where's that now?
Right above.
right above. 513.
Oh, okay. How much? No, wait, that's retirement.
4,000.
Oh, health insurance, okay. How much off of that?
4,000.
4.
Retiree health insurance is 15,000. Some of these are coverage changes that happened since I last did the budget.
Okay.
Whether, we've had some changes in, individuals, we moved from one to the other. Or
So we've
I
got.
could always go the other way, but at this point, this is where,
Okay.
and FICA, 3,000.
FICA 3,000, okay. FICA 3,000. Okay.
Okay.
And that could change further once we get quotes in, is that
Could.
correct?
It could.
Okay, let me see. Get that, get that, I got that, I got that. I got that. Debt service. Is there anything we can do to postpone something? Or not really?
Matter of fact,
Don't say matter of fact.
You know
Well,
what that
you'll have-
means.
That's never good.
the one thing we have to decide is the country club.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only thing that could change this,
Yeah.
is if you receive money for the sale of some property, then you don't have to pay the debt service on the country club. But aside from that, at some point, that has to be converted to bonds. Right now, it's notes.
Okay,
And we only have a few more years to do that, and the rates are increasing.
okay.
So,
That's just for a different day.
yeah.
Woodbridge Board of Education. Anybody have any thoughts on that?
I do. I would like to take some of the Amity surplus to cover the $100,000 increase in special education. It would reduce what's in the general fund,
Yeah, that's,
but I think we have enough in there that we can do that, and it reduces the budget by $100,000.
I thought we said we were going to do that. Didn't we say we were going to,
No, we didn't agree.
106, you said we were going to,
No, the $178,000 from Amity
yeah.
is to cover the Beecher
The
deficit
current
for
deficit.
for
this
the current
year.
year, right.
What
Current
I'm
deficit.
suggesting is that instead of putting all of the extra money from the
From the-
500,000,
Right, from their
or the
surplus, yeah.
340,000,
Right.
which is what's left, that we take 100,000 of that and use it to reduce the special education
And therefore,
costs, which would reduce the Beecher budget by 100,000.
but,
So you want to put that in a reserve, is what you're
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Because you wouldn't be able to do
Right.
that until next year,
I
if the
understand.
funds are this year, right?
yes.
so you reserved 220 for next year's budget. What you're
Right.
saying is you only want to do
Make
120?
it 320. I want to increase it.
And then take it out of this year?
So,
No.
no, I think I know what you want to do.
So we got it this year. If we took it out.
We got $561,430.
You
Right,
want-
and 220.
Tony was going to put 220
Right.
into this budget we're talking about.
Right,
And 340 into
goes into
current
fund,
budget.
goes into fund balance, basically.
fund balance.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm saying, let's reduce the amount that goes in the fund balance, create a reserve that then allows us to pay for the 100,000 additional costs for special education. And that reduces the budget for next year by 100,000.
But then
It takes it,
we end up, well, we're currently we're currently at $143,000 surplus. That
Yeah,
would bring
it
it
would
down
be
to
if you have
43.
Yeah, so you'd have a deficit.
Have a deficit?
Yeah, would you, no, go to 43.
43.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we haven't covered the 400,000 then? yet.
No, so it's, from a cash perspective, you would be reducing fund balance by 360, whatever. That's what you're getting at, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. But that's, you're saying it's
Okay.
acceptable. I mean,
Has it ever been that low?
what's that?
low? No, that's
Fund
not
balance?
low.
Fund balance.
Yeah, no, it was,
This is high.
we were at 8% at one point.
Yeah, this is
We're
high.
close to 11, are we, or 10?
We're like 10, almost
Yeah,
11.
we're way up. It's high.
Oh, fund balance. I'm
Fund
sorry,
balance.
I'm thinking the other one. I did just- yeah, hold on.
So you want to take 100,000.
It reduces.
No, I know.
So putting that 340,000 into the fund balance, okay, gives us 5.2 million or 10.72%. I'm saying to make it 5.1 million.
Or,
Probably 10.5.
Yeah.
I can live with that.
Did you hear that? You can
I
live with
heard.
it.
I heard.
You can live with it.
I'm losing my
Do I
mind.
jump up and down?
I'm losing my mind over here.
Wow.
Just remember, I let that one go, so keep in mind when I start,
Okay.
all right,
It's a suggestion.
okay.
very reasonable suggestion, it seems to me.
Well, yeah, it benefits the taxpayers, that's all I care
Yeah.
about.
Right.
What do you think, Mr. Genovese?
I think because you're covering a, hopefully, expense that's not an ordinary expense,
Correct.
that's not going to create a problem next year.
Right,
That would be my concern.
yes.
Right.
You don't, we don't have to replicate it.
Right.
The problem is we don't know what it's going to be next year. That's all the problem with special education. But I think given what we've seen this year and what got put in the budget even for next year, it's a way to not necessarily replicate this process because we're not going to get these funds continually to be able to do it. So it fixes the issue for this year in terms of benefiting the taxpayers. We don't know what the special ed budget will be for the following year.
So what could potentially happen is then your budget is $100,000
More.
lower.
Right.
Right, so that you have an even bigger increase the following year. That's unless the special ed costs are
Go
lower.
down. Right.
Is there
That's
is there any chance that that reserve won't be completely used up, given what we know today?
I mean, there's always a possibility because things change throughout the year.
But it's not likely.
Right. I mean, we've had years where it's gone down, okay, dramatically. We seem to be in a period where it has been going up.
Right.
But it's not predictable. People move out of the district.
So you want 100,000, you said?
I mean, that's my thought, okay?
So what's the counter argument? The counter argument is that if we did not do that, we would have a higher fund balance, we'd have a
Yes.
higher rainy day fund.
Correct, basically, yeah.
So we're taking $100,000 out of the rainy day fund in order to benefit the taxpayers in the next fiscal year.
That's correct.
But the risk is that, let's say even if the special ed numbers stay the same, it will appear as an increase for the following year.
Right.
Because you won't have the 100,000.
Because you won't have the 100,000.
So,
I mean, what is your thought, Tony? I mean, is this something that you would support, or you feel this is risky to do?
I think the thing I'm concerned is that the Amity surplus of 220 is rather, it's on the high side. So we may have to we may have to also make up. Or I'm not sure what their surplus is projected for this year.
It's
Is it?
It's
is
good,
it
but
possible to
they're
replicate?
looking
I mean,
not to
they're
give
looking
it back to us like they have in the
right.
past. Again, they're gonna meet a lot of opposition. They already are. They want to carry forward $424,000 and put it in a capital non-recurring, which they can do, and we
Right.
fought them on
That's
it.
right.
And I mean, we will fight them on it. But then their argument is going to be that they have a bond issue they're going to want to talk about, and this will reduce the bond issue and get things done. But, you know, one of the items in there is the football field, the turf field, and people are bouncing off the walls when they heard that. So there'll be a lot of screaming and yelling about it, you know. And you know, now, like I said, they want to do that. Then they started with the SROs for the other two schools, and there was a lot of disagreement about that. But it's not, you know, it's worrisome because the money is there, and they're starting to figure out ways to spend it rather than return it, and that's always dangerous, you know. So I'd be remiss if I didn't say that I doubt we'll get that kind of money back again. We'll try like heck, but I don't know.
I mean, the other thing would be, what if it's 50,000 instead of 100?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that make you feel more comfortable?
It would, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, that would.
We don't want Tony being uncomfortable.
No, I do not at all.
It's usually a bad thing.
So how about if you do 50,000?
Mm-hmm.
So essentially what you're doing is you're reducing the Board of Ed budget by 50,000. But then at some
But
point.
we have a source of covering it.
Well, yes, well,
Yes,
I'm
right.
procedurally
Yes,
discussing
okay,
this.
yeah, okay.
So you're reducing the next year's Board of Ed operating budget by $50,000. Then, say at your next meeting,
Mhm.
I'll present a funding request
Yeah.
to transfer $50,000 from the Amity surplus funds into a reserve account.
Mhm.
Then, next year, you'll take that $50,000, transfer it to the Board of Ed.
I bet you're a good chess player.
Yes,
Is that what we're talking about here?
yes.
Thinking
Okay.
4 moves ahead. Right.
Okay. So if we do that, I'll give you the information if you're interested.
What information? All these different things we discussed?
Yeah.
In other words,
He's keeping-
I've been adding up
running
too.
total
I've been
here.
adding too. So for example, let me just run through what I believe we've done. All right.
Okay.
What was it was 244.8 was the
Yeah, capital.
Correct.
Or-
That's the capital,
and
yeah.
what was 422.217? That
Oh,
was
That's the total.
that's with the two revenue item increases.
Yeah, and the Amity 97,417.
I got you. All right. So it's 422.217 was our initial.
Right.
We voted on that, right?
Correct.
No.
Did
we-
you vote?
No, we didn't.
No,
we
we
voted
only
on the
voted on the
capital.
244,800.
Right, we
Yeah,
voted on the
that's
capital,
yeah.
so we did not vote on the interest income, the building permit, well, we have to vote on Amity, I mean, it's, okay. So it's, all right, so it's 50,000 in interest, 30,000 in building revenue, and 97,417
Mhm.
from Amity. That's 177,417, is that right? On top,
Yep.
yeah, that's right, 244.8,
That's correct.
244.8
Yep.
plus 177, 417, 422,217. All right, those we kind of, I think, agree on.
Okay.
We're not going to certainly refuse the money from Amity, right? So,
No.
okay. So we're at 422 there. Now, here's the rest of the things that we've talked about. And we're going to have to vote on. 5,000 out of legal and Board of Selectmen, you got that?
Got it?
15,000 out of our contingency.
Got it?
$10,000 out of TPZ, which I believe is on shaky ground. 3,000, 52210. I don't
That's
know.
police data processing.
Police data processing. That salary adjustment, 6340.
Yep.
Training, 10,000.
Yep.
Fireman's incentive, 10,000.
Yep.
And then benefits, I've got police retirement, 5,000.
Yep.
I've got police health, 26,000. Town health, 4,000. Retiree health, 15,000. And FICA, 3,000.
Correct.
Okay.
That's it.
And then
So-
you have the 50,000.
So let
And then the
me
50,000.
let me just ask the
Oh,
question
okay.
in fairness to all the other boards and commissions that we've cut. We're going to give Beecher everything they want. Beecher gets their whole budget. Beecher gets their whole budget. Okay. Tough message to send out all these other commissions. But I won't go there. Okay. Where we
Well,
at?
I think that they really did show us where they did make cuts
Mhm.
and changes, and what they did in terms of shifting priorities, and they've increased, revenue sources. So they really have tried to look at this from that approach, and they're continuing to do that.
Where we at, Tom?
Okay. So the expenditures,
Mhm.
is 49 million.
Wait a minute, let me get to that page. Total expenditures is 49 million.
49 million, 535, 620.
620, okay,
It's a 2.47% increase.
okay.
Non-tax revenues,
Capital,
that includes capital.
oh, that includes capital?
Yeah, that's all expenditures.
Okay. Wait a minute. It was 50,040,177, right?
That's what it was, total expenditures.
And now you're saying it's 49,535,620. It's 504,
557.
504, 557.
Right. Which is 244.8 from capital and 259,757 from all the other stuff. Amity, Beecher, all that.
504, 422. Wait a minute. You cut 422, 217.
No, but that included the revenue.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, don't include
I
the
got
revenue.
59,340 here. And all the benefits, 53. And 50,000.
From the Board of
From the Board of Ed.
I'm coming up with 80,000 more. Did you put in interest income and building permit revenue, Tony?
No,
Okay, I'm off 80. That's what I'm
That's
off.
it. That's
That's
drop,
the
yeah.
80.
Okay,
because that's just expenditures. Haven't gotten the revenues yet.
okay. So yeah, let's get, all right, why don't you do what you got to do, and what are we talking about for taxing?
Okay. So the revenues,
Before I eliminate our contingency fund.
3196409 is 9.7% reduction in revenues from the budget. And the tax amount to be raised by taxes is 46,339,211.
Yeah,
That's 3.43% increase.
46, give me that again?
46,339,211.
211.
Now, just give me 1 second here.
Matt, what is the number you have for the reductions in the different departments?
I come up with 59,340. Not counting the health insurance, well, you know, it's 59,340 are all the individual cuts. 53,000 in benefits. And 50,000,
From
right, so
Board of
it's
Ed.
59,340, 53, and 50.
So what's that?
162,340 altogether.
Yeah,
163.
right.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, the tax rate, 39.87. That's the, would be the mill rate.
Mill rate.
Right. And that's a 1.09% increase. You're off by a little there, man.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure you all understand, the real estate and personal property
Yeah, right.
is 1.09% increase. Okay, that's from 39.44 to 39.87. Motor vehicle, however, was at 32. So that goes from 32 to 39.87 because now it's a combined mill rate again. That increase is 24.59%. So you'll see a 25%.
So you're gonna pay more
increase in
for
your
our
car
cars.
tax.
We're gonna pay more for our cars.
Yeah, but your house
Will be
property tax
1.09.
will be 1.09%.
Again, we haven't voted on this yet.
That's where you are currently,
Right, if we approve all that.
if you approve all that. And just to review, if you want to get below 1%,
Yeah.
you need another.
What's that, Tony? We need another what?
$40,000.
40,000. I'm not worried about it. 1.09 is, okay.
Okay, just thought I'd mention that. Now, the one thing you haven't discussed is this year's contingency.
Oh, the
If
balance,
we
what we're gonna
have
do.
something left
Right.
from that.
We could move some of that.
You could.
Sure.
Well, we're not gonna spend 180.
Correct. I don't believe you will. You may have 40, you may have 50,
Yeah,
you
we
may
may
have
have 40
60.
to 50 from there.
You may have the 40.
How much?
Well,
40?
we have to realize that some of what we reduced in capital,
Oh.
Right?
we are
Right.
looking to.
That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we said we were
That's
going to
right.
cut it out.
Well,
let's not double
contingency.
count.
Right, right.
Well, some of the stuff what did we eliminate though? I mean, we ended up eliminating what?
Oh, no, we had 12,000, what? In
The
library.
Just the library,
And I said,
the only one.
but I said we'd look into Noyes Clark.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
correct.
If there's money there.
Yeah,
After
that's
the
possible.
shark thing is.
Yeah.
But all these others, I think you're,
Well, the ice rink we left in.
Yes.
yeah,
Centerfield irrigation, I think we could go another year without that.
yeah.
The scale and the compactor, I
You're
don't
not
think we
ready
should
for
do
that.
anything with that, with all the question marks at the
Correct.
transfer
Yeah.
station.
I agree.
Mhm.
The pool is, forget it. I mean, I just,
So possibly the technology, the fire department. was-
Fire tech.
Yeah.
That's, so maybe that's some. So
So you may have.
we have 180, let's say we use 40 for snow removal, we're down to 140.
That's a good estimate,
And
yeah.
if we take 40 of that and move it, what does that do for the numbers? We take 40 of contingency and move it in.
Yeah, then you're at 1.99%.
We're what?
Zero.
0.9.
Zero.
0.99%,
Not,
yeah.
it doesn't go up.
Yeah,
And I think we'll still have some money to do things
you
with.
may.
But fire needs some.
And maybe just,
Yeah.
you may, and
They might need some.
and you may have that 50
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
Okay.
that you were gonna take from.
Mhm.
Oh, the 50, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll find it.
Okay.
So I'm saying you still some
So let's-
options.
so let's
I
do
guess
that.
that's the
Let's-
point.
let's
Okay,
move
so let's
40.
take it from contingency.
Oh, you wanna do that right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we'll do it in 6 months.
No, I think if you wanna do it after the hearing.
No.
No.
No,
No.
okay,
No.
yeah, okay.
Go for it.
So you have to, well, I'll have to, you want
Yeah,
me
you
to
gotta-
identify where to
Yeah.
do it, yeah.
Yeah. But we still haven't approved all these things. You know. We're going to talk about them individually, and yes or no. And remember, if we don't approve them, we go above 0.9.
I'm gonna, I'll take $40,000 in capital expenditures
Okay.
and reduce the capital budget.
What do we want to do?
Yeah, okay.
I assume we do this one by one.
Yeah, we're going to do it one by one.
So, just so you're all clear, the $40,000, I'm gonna remove from some of the projects and contingency that you approved and just pay for them in the current year.
Mhm.
That's what you're suggesting, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay. Okay? So the tax rate is now 0.99%.
Not for long. I heard these two mumbling over here. Yeah, that's never good.
Never good.
All right, so let's now go down. All right, I think we voted on all the capital stuff. So let's talk about the ones I know everybody's going to be in favor of, because there's no reason not to be. So I'm going to call them off, and we're going to vote. 97,417 reduction in Amity. I'll make a motion that we approve that.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye? Okay. That was tough. All the various benefits, which would be, I'll read them off, let's see. Police retirement, 5,000. Police health, 26,000. Town health, 4,000. Retiree health, 15,000, and FICA, 3,000, for a total of 53,000. I'll make a motion that we reduce those accounts by 53,000.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
This is going so well. Nice. Okay, how am I going to put this now? This 50,000, we're going to move 50,000 out of fund balance? Do we have to, I guess, no, we got to approve that at the next meeting.
That's the next meeting. One thing you have to do is reduce the Woodbridge Board of Ed budget by 50,000.
Okay. All right, I'll make a motion that we reduce the Board of Ed budget by 50,000.
Second?
Any discussion?
I want to make sure I understand that.
Yeah. We're going to put the money back.
We're putting the money back.
Should you put that in the motion?
But he's got to do that at our next meeting.
Should you put
It's
that
a
in the
current year.
motion?
It's a
So
current
make
I
year.
can
sure
do
it
that. I'll make a
happens.
motion
Make
that
sure
we
it
reduce,
happens.
I'll make a motion that we reduce Beecher Board of Education to 50,000 with the provision that at our next meeting, we will have a funding request for 50,000. Not a funding request, it's going to be a
Fund transfer.
fund balance transfer
Yeah,
Fund
right.
balance transfer.
for 50,000.
Second.
Everybody okay with that? All those in favor? Aye. All right, so we did that. We did that. Okay. Reducing the legal line item. Remember now, we do have a contingency fund if this doesn't work. But for now, to present this to the taxpayers, reducing the Board of Selectmen legal line item by 5,000. I'll make a motion that we reduce the Board of Selectmen legal line item by 5,000.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, that passes. Reducing, I'm going to make a motion that we reduce the Board of Finance contingency fund by 15,000.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Okay. I'll skip that one. What's this 3,000? Oh, Police Department, Police Data Processing, is that what that was?
That's it, yeah.
52210. $3,000. I'll make a motion that we reduce 52210 in the Police Department by 3,000.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Fire Department. We're reducing the salary line item. Do you need a number, Tony, on that, or you could figure
No,
it out?
I got it, yeah.
All right, by $6,340. I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion on that? All those in favor? Aye? Okay. Reduce the training line item 54630 by $10,000. I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
We would discuss, can we just, before you vote
Yeah,
on
yeah,
that?
yeah.
That's subject to getting more information
Yes.
about the conference
Right.
and whether or not that's
Right.
actually a different kind of training.
Correct.
Correct? Okay.
Our primary concern is the conference,
Correct.
but we're rounding it to 10.
But you're going to get us more information.
Yeah.
Somebody. Okay.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Oh, you're in favor? Oh, okay.
We're going to get more information.
All right, and then the fireman's incentive, and again, we want to sit down and really get a handle on that. Because if we're going to keep moving this forward and keep increasing, like I said, it started out at
Right.
28,000, and that's up to 80,000 now, so. All right, I'll make a motion to reduce the incentive line item by $10,000.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye?
Again, subject to more
Yeah,
information.
I said that,
I'd like to change Okay.
Okay. Opposed? Okay, you're there. And finally, and remember, we have contingency, but I'm proposing that we reduce the town planning and zoning line item for, what is that?
General professional
General
services.
professional services by $10,000. Anybody want to second that?
Second.
Second? Okay. Discussion? All those in favor? Aye? Opposed? 3. Okay. So we're above 1% again.
Tell you in 1 second.
We gotta find $10,000 somewhere.
Just make the, 1.01. Just make the contingency 150 instead of 40.
What's that?
Make contingency 50 instead of 40.
Yeah.
Okay.
How's that?
I'll make a motion that, like, should we, what do you call it? Get rid of the first motion. Well, we've already voted, so I'm gonna make a motion that we take an additional $10,000 from contingency
Okay.
and move it into the budget.
Okay.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
We're good?
We're good.
Anything else? No?
No.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.